Husker fans, we need to sit down right now and have a truthful and honest conversation. Nebraska's biggest problem that has been haunting this program for years is not getting any better. If anything, it is getting dramatically worse by the day. So let's talk about it. What is this problem exactly? How do we solve it? Because it feels like Matt Rhule, while he's taking steps forward, he is also taking some huge steps back. We'll talk about where Nebraska goes from here. How do we find the solution and everything else you need to know? So really quick, this is a jam-packed, big-time conversation. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? For daily content talking Huskers, win or loss, we keep it real on this channel. For that reason, we've built a great family. It's your turn to join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I told you guys last week that Nebraska just solved a huge problem, and they did. Nebraska, for years, we've had an issue with winning tight ball games. We struggled in 2021 with Scott Frost. We went 3-9, and all of which were one-score games. We struggled throughout the entire Scott Frost era, the Mike Riley era. We struggled in year 1 of Matt Rhule, year 2 of Matt Rhule, and finally, it feels like Nebraska cracked the code. We learned how to win close games. We beat Michigan State close. We beat Maryland close. We beat Northwestern close, and that's a great development. But as we always like to talk about, when we fix one issue, another issue pops up. And this issue is way bigger than the close games problem. And it's been haunting us for a lot longer than that. Nebraska proved once again on Saturday, for whatever reason, that the Huskers, Matt Rhule, and this team can never win the big game. We have not beat a ranked team in 10 years. One of the worst streaks in the history of college football. Everybody says the Huskers are cursed. They can never play for the big moment. They never prepare well. They never execute well. And when the game matters, in the fourth quarter, we don't show up. Okay, and there's a multitude of reasons why. Number one, the reason why we lost to USC, the reason why we lost to Michigan, the reason why we can never win these big games is because we don't game plan effectively. And that falls on Matt Rhule. Okay, we did not have a good game plan versus USC at all. All week long, they talked about how big of a ball game this is, how we're finally going to get a monkey off our back, we're finally going to get a ranked victory, and how we're going to do that is by being aggressive. We're going to be aggressive on offense, we're going to be aggressive on defense, we're going to dial up the blitz, we're going to go for it on fourth down. And yet, on Saturday, when they had an opportunity to put their money where their mouth is, they didn't do it. The game planning was far from elite. Dana Holgorsen, his offensive philosophy was vanilla. He did not give anybody a chance to succeed. No receivers were getting open, but they didn't ever give him a chance to succeed either. Jacory Barney had 7 receiving yards. Dane was on the milk carton in the second half, and Nyziah Hunter did nothing. Really, the only reason we even put up points was because of Emmett Johnson, per usual. And I said this before in the week, if it weren't for Emmett Johnson, if he did in fact transfer like he wanted to before Dana Holgorsen convinced him to come back, if Emmett Johnson left us like he was going to in December, Nebraska right now would be 2-7, 3-6 at the very best, because Emmett Johnson has carried this offense so much this year. So the reason why Nebraska can never win the big games is because we don't game plan effectively. And also, we don't ever make adjustments. I told you guys at halftime, when we were up 14-6 versus USC, it was a great half. And I, at that point in time, I thought Nebraska was going to win. But I tweeted this out. I said, while it's been a great half by the Huskers, we need to make adjustments because you better believe USC will. You better believe Lincoln Riley, who's one of the best coaches in college football, he's going to change up some things. And that's exactly what USC did. In Nebraska, on the other hand, they made 0 adjustments at all. Okay, the biggest adjustment they needed to make was find a way to stop the running attack by USC and find ways to pass the football vertically. Okay, because we were having anything we wanted on the running game, but at some point they were slowing it down. We needed to get Dane involved. We needed to get Jacory involved, and we didn't do any of that. And yeah, I heard that Dylan got injured, but still, you could get TJ involved in that aspect, and they treated TJ like he was a toddler. So we made absolutely no adjustments on defense, no adjustments on offense. Our defense did us a solid. We only gave up 21 points. That was a season low to USC. We thought we were going to give up 30, and the offense only put up 17. So the reason why Nebraska can never win big games, we don't game plan at a high level. We don't make in-game adjustments. And also, we talked last week about the culture of this team. And I'll admit, the culture's improved. Okay, I was watching the sideline versus Northwestern versus Michigan State when we were in close battles against inferior teams. Because for whatever reason, Nebraska, we play down to teams, but we also play up to teams. But I was watching the body language. And in the past, Nebraska, we'd have our head down low. Matt Rhule would not believe. He'd have his head down low. Dylan would have his head down low. You go down line. But the thing that was different versus Northwestern, our heads were up. We believed, and that's why we won that close game. It's one thing to win close games against bad teams, however, and to break that curse. It's another thing to win close games against good teams. And Nebraska has never shown that ability. And you go back to the USC ball game. When we were up 14-6 and we went for it on fourth down, or excuse me, we did not go for it on fourth down. We kicked the field goal and we missed it. You could hear a pin drop in that stadium. Everybody knew what was going to happen. When we were up 8 points in the third quarter, everybody knew we were going to lose, including the team. You look at Matt Rhule, his head was down. You look at TJ Lateef, his head was down. You look at anybody on offense, anybody on defense, their head was down. Everybody knew Nebraska was going to lose. That's a culture issue. So the culture's improved, but it's not perfect. And Nebraska still doubts themselves in these close moments. We played good enough to beat USC. We didn't game plan at a perfect level, but we game planned well enough. Our defense played well enough. Our offense played well enough. And yet this team crumbled in the tight moment like they always do. Despite having a backup quarterback, despite the refs being against us, we played well enough to win. But the culture wasn't good enough. And that's why Nebraska can never get the monkey off their back and they can never get a ranked victory. And it hasn't been that way since 2016. Again, it was so important that Nebraska beat USC. It was so important that we beat Michigan. There are a million recruiting implications. We know that next year's schedule, it's going to be incredibly tough. It's going to be incredibly tough next year. And the reason why this is a big problem, this is the reason why it's Nebraska's biggest problem. We had a really easy schedule this year. We really only played 2 tough teams all year long. Okay, we played Michigan, we played USC. So you could argue Cincinnati's a good team, but we didn't think that was going to be the case at the time. We've only played 2 ranked teams all year long. Next year, it's not going to be that way. Next year, we'll play 5. We might play 6. So what you're telling me is that Matt Rhule is 0-8 against ranked teams at Nebraska. He has not proven that he can beat ranked teams, at least not consistently. What do you think is going to happen next year when we play Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Illinois, Washington, with the toughest schedule in the Big Ten? If you have not proven this year with this easy schedule that you can't beat ranked teams, you've proved that, what do you think is going to happen next year when you play ranked teams back to back to back? You're going to lose. That's why it was so important that Nebraska beat USC, to finally break that curse, break the mentality, and have confidence in yourself that, yeah, you can beat these big-time teams. But if you couldn't take advantage of this year's schedule, if you could not go 10-2 this year, what do you think is going to happen next year? That's why it was so important. So all the time on this channel, I defend Matt Rhule. And I tell you guys, Matt Rhule is imperfect. Okay, he's a great leader of men. He's a great developer. But Matt Rhule will tell you himself, I don't need to tell you this, Matt Rhule will tell you this himself, he's not a good X and O's head coach. If you think Matt Rhule is a football genius, you're wrong. He's not. He's not Tom Osborne. He's not a Nick Saban. He's not somebody who will out-scheme Lincoln Riley. He depends on his assistants to do that. So despite Matt Rhule being a flawed coach, there's still things, that are going in his favor. He still did enough to win this ball game. At least he should have done good enough to do this ball game. But, he proved once again that the doubters are right. That in these type of moments, Matt Rhule can't win the big ball games, whether it's at Nebraska, Baylor, or Temple. And that's going to show up next year when we have that tough schedule. And unfortunately, if Nebraska can't improve mightily from a talent standpoint, offensive line standpoint, quarterback standpoint next year, and Matt Rhule can't rapidly develop his in-game decision-making, his timeouts, his clock management, the stuff that's been bothering this program for the past 3 years, if he can't improve that this offseason, Nebraska's going to lay an egg next year. We might not make a bowl game next year. And that's where we have to have some tough conversations. And also, the reason why I'm so frustrated about losing all these close, tight games against good teams, ranked teams, is because we just extended Matt Rhule. We just extended him. Why is it that every single time we have a little bit of faith in our head coach proves to us that he's incompetent and not the guy we thought he was going to be? Okay, we extended Scott Frost. What did he do? Lost the next week. We extended Matt Rhule. What did he do? Lose the next week as well. You go back to the Matt Rhule Penn State rumors. Right when that happened, the Penn State rumors, we went to play, Minnesota the very next week. And everybody was defending Matt Rhule, saying, we cannot afford to lose Matt Rhule. He's so good. And then Matt Rhule showed you his true colors and lost. It feels like whenever we defend Matt Rhule and we treat him like he maybe should be treated as a good head coach, he proves to everybody he's not a good coach. And yet when Matt Rhule's under the radar and everybody's doubting him, he rises through the cracks. Okay, we can't have that. Matt Rhule, if you want to be extended, if you want the spotlight to be on you, you better prove that yourself. You got to. Or else you will constantly continue to be labeled as a fraud. Maybe not by Nebraska fans, but by the national media. Let's just call a spade a spade. Matt Rhule is not respected by college football fans. He just isn't. I mean, Big Ten fans were literally celebrating when we extended him. Iowa fans were celebrating. Penn State fans were celebrating. There were some fans who understood it was probably a good move by Nebraska, and I thought it was a good move by Nebraska. While I don't think Matt Rhule's a perfect coach, I told you guys it's important for Nebraska to have stability. So anyways, there were Big Ten fans celebrating. There were Carolina Panther fans celebrating. There were SEC fans celebrating because they said, why is Nebraska so stupid? Matt Rhule's barely won there. He barely has a winning record. Why are they doing that? And Matt Rhule had a chance to shut up that narrative. Matt Rhule had an opportunity to say, you know what? Okay, I see you. I'm going to prove that we can win the big game. And Matt Rhule fell short. Not because of the team, but because of him. Because he decided to kick a field goal on 4th and 1 and ruin the ball game and ruin the momentum. He decided that. Not anybody else. He made that call. Matt Rhule made the call to be super conservative with TJ Lateef and the entire offense. Matt Rhule made the call to not make any adjustments at halftime. Matt Rhule made the call to instill a culture that, while it's improved, the entire team crumbled in the 4th quarter and nobody believed. So I'm going to be harsh when it comes to Matt Rhule. Again, I'd love to talk about his positives, but we need to talk about the negatives. And the truth is the truth that he has a problem winning ranked games, and that's not going away anytime soon. If you don't fix this quickly, Nebraska will win 6 games next year at the very most, if not 5. And if that does happen, if you don't make a bowl game in year 4, and we just extended you, it doesn't matter if we extend you. You got to go. I will tell you this right now. If we don't make a bowl game next year, we need to change a head coach. We just do. It's not acceptable in year 4 to not make a bowl game, regardless of how hard the schedule is. So you got to make improvement rapidly with this roster, with yourself. Lock in. This was your only chance to win a ranked game until next year. You squandered it. Win out, beat UCLA, beat Penn State, beat Iowa, win the bowl game, go 10-3, salvage this year, and make a run next season, but you got to end strong. All right, guys, big time video. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments, some who agree, some who disagree. Let me know what you're thinking. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.